Greetings, folks. I want to read a verse to you in the book of Matthew, chapter 16, a passage that I like to read a lot. And beginning in verse 1, Matthew 16, 1 through 3. Let me read it for you. The Pharisees also, with the Sadducees, came and tempting, desired him that he would show them a sign from heaven. He answered and said unto them, When it is evening, ye say it will be fair weather, for the sky is red. And in the morning it will be foul weather today, for the sky is red and lowering. Of course, I'm a Navy guy, was in the Navy, and you've all heard the saying, red sky at night, sailor delight. Red sky in the morning, sailor take warning. Where'd that come from? Right here in the Bible. And he's telling them, look, you can look at the sky in the evening, in the morning, and you can get an idea what the weather's going to be. You can see the future. But then he rips their faces off. Look what he says. O ye hypocrites. O ye hypocrites. Ye can discern the face of the skies, but can ye not discern the signs of the time? What was the Lord talking about? He wasn't talking about the rapture, was he? No, he was talking about his first coming right now. And he knew that these people missed it. They missed his first coming. They had no excuse for that. Prophecy after prophecy after prophecy. Daniel's 70th week prophesied the very time when Messiah would come into the world, and they missed it. And the Lord's not happy about it. And he's rebuking them here. Doc and I are going to do today's program on the signs of the time. There is no excuse for you, my friend, or me, to not realize that we're at the end of this thing. And we're going to show that to you in today's program. Stand by. Hey, everybody. Brother Goodwin here and Dr. Hiltebittle. This is going to be a fun show. Doc, I've always enjoyed, when I do prophecy conferences, the signs of the times is something that was always interesting.
Sure.
Even before I got into prophecy, and I'd hear other preachers talk about this. This really made you think when they talk about stuff going on and how it shows that we're near the end. I believe you got a verse for us that you were going to read.
Well, in the Olivet Discourse, what's been called that, in Luke chapter 21, Jesus said already that the temple would be destroyed, no stone on top of the other. They said, verse 7, and they asked him, saying, Master, but when shall these things be, and what sign will there be when these things shall come to pass? So they were looking for signs, because they were looking for his second coming. They were looking for the millennial reign, what they were looking for. And when's it going to happen, and what are the signs? And so the Lord's going to give them, answer those three questions.
Yeah. And of course, in, what is it, in Acts, Acts chapter 1, Lord, will thou restore unto Israel? But they ask him two or three questions. When's the end? When's the end of all this?
They were looking.
These are valid questions. There's nothing wrong with wanting to know the answers to these.
They knew that the promises was that the Messiah, and now they knew that he was the Messiah. They were now very convinced of his resurrection. After this, and they said, "Are you going to set it up now?"
Yeah.
And of course, it required more than just his believers. It's going to require the nation of Israel, according to Zechariah, that's going to turn to him as a whole.
Yeah. So they say 1/4 of the Bible's prophecy. I say the whole Bible's got, every page of the Bible's got some glimpses there. Not necessarily easy to see, but
when you take the 29 or so percent, 30% almost, that is pure prophecy, and then all of that which is lending to prophecy, you're looking at the greater majority of your Bible.
So here's the thing, Don. should we be looking for
Yes.
signs? Should we be looking to find out where we are on the timeline of events?
And when believers are doing that and they're studying the scriptures, they don't get as concerned and distraught over all the things that's happening around them, because they really, 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, Paul's writing them, and he said, I don't need to write unto you concerning the times or the seasons. He said, because you're children of the day walking in the light. You're not in the night. So therefore, true believers ought to know at least what season they're in.
And I think he said that day should not overtake you as a thief
in the night.
He's coming to a thief, to our neighbor.
Yeah, to the lost world.
I usually give the illustration of a guy getting his paper off the front porch, a lost man, and the preacher lives next to him. And the preacher's always, they try to see who beats him out there to get the paper. And he gets out one morning and it's early and he looks over and the paper's still on the porch. The preacher overslept. I beat him. He doesn't realize the preacher left in the middle of the night.
And about 4 or 5 days later, they piled up and he said, really, what's going on?
Yeah. And it's a natural thing to want to know the future and the signs of the times. I think God wants us to know, or he wouldn't have given us prophecy in the Bible.
Well, everybody wants to know what day is it going to be. Well, it's going to be that day, whatever day that is. But that's why the Lord said, speaking as a son of man, because as a son of God, I'm convinced, I believe Jesus knows. But he said, no man knoweth the day or the hour. So when Paul is writing to the folks at Thessalonica, he's not writing them about the day and the hour. He's writing them to know that if you are discerning of the signs, you're going to know what season you're in.
The season, yeah. I give an illustration. I think it's in the barley harvest book, or one of them anyway. I talk about a farmer, and you can relate to this. And he's got fields of crops everywhere. Yeah. So every now and then, when it's getting close to harvest, he gets in his pickup truck and he drives and parks on the side of the road, and he gets out. And he walks through the field and he's looking at the kernels, or he's looking at the whatever. I'm not a farmer, as you can tell.
He's measuring the moisture content in his corn. Yeah.
And he doesn't know the day or the hour that's ready.
No.
But he knows it's soon.
Yeah. I being a farmer, growing up on it all my life, I do it like this. I tell folks like this. I could, in January, I could sit down with my calendar and say, okay, on May the 2nd, I'm going to plant my corn. But if May the 2nd comes and it's raining, I'm going to plant my corn. No. But I'm going to plant it in the season for planting. Yeah. In the same way in the fall, I could say, well, I'm going to cut my soybeans September 29th, but not if it's pouring down rain, but in the season of harvest. Yeah. So we don't have to know what hour or what day. We can know that we're living in that season. And how do we know that? By the signs that is given throughout all of Scripture.
Yeah. And you look at that plant, you look at that stalk of corn or whatever, your barley, whatever it is, and you can tell it's very close. It's just days away.
When those first leaves under that corn begin turning brown and turning up, man, it's finished. All it's got to do is finish its drying down.
So it's time. Hey, fellas, get the combines out.
Yeah, get ready.
The oil changed in them. Get them tuned up. Any day now, we're going out to get it.
That's right.
And that's what the Lord was talking about in Matthew.
Yes.
He was upset. You can discern.
Because they had missed Jesus. Yeah. All the things that he had done to fulfill what prophecy had been.
He's standing there right in front of them, and they don't recognize, they don't have any idea that he's the Messiah. And he gets upset. He says, you can tell the weather tomorrow, but can you not discern the signs and times that matter?
And I think you're right. I think he was disturbed over that. Can you imagine how he must feel? And because when the rapture takes place, you and I that have been looking at the sign, we ought not be surprised when we're in his presence.
Yeah.
But there's going to be a lot of people say, oh, wait a minute. I wasn't quite through. I wasn't quite ready. Yeah.
I joke about it. I say what my ministry is about and why I got into this. And I know it's not possible. It's just funny. But I say I want the Lord to be surprised when the trumpet sounds, because there's a group of people that were expecting it.
Uh-huh.
And I know that's not possible. Yeah. God knows the beginning from the end, but you know.
Well, there's a song out there. I don't know who wrote it or anything, but it's a good song. And it said, when he rose from the grave, there was no one. There was no one there. And he said, when he returns again, will there still be no one expecting?
Yeah.
But the Lord gave us many signs. And folks, we need to understand, Dan, make sure folks understand. Signs are not really for us.
Right.
Because we're to live in expectation of any moment. Signs, according to, I think it's the first chapter of 1 Corinthians, signs are for the Jews. And signs go all the way back to creation. Because on day number 4, when God put the sun and the moon and the stars up there, he did it for 4 things. And the first thing he said was for signs. And so God uses signs, I believe, to try to get the attention of the Jewish nation to realize we had an agreement. I'm reminding you, we had an agreement. I'm still ready to stand behind that agreement if you'll just come back to me. And I put it this way because I heard another preacher say it. He said, it's okay if we eavesdrop on God speaking to his people, the Jews.
Yeah.
And so the signs are really not necessarily for the rapture.
Right.
We sometimes get to thinking
they're really about the second coming.
They're about the second coming,
Yeah.
or in reality, they're really about I guess it would really be the beginning of the tribulation. But the second coming is what it's all about.
Yeah. So let's get into a few of these, Doc. When there's lots of different signs that point to the fact that we're near the end, and the Lord wants us to know that, and there's no excuse for us to be ignorant of these things.
Yes.
But yet we are, and the average person is not expecting it. The average person is not ready for that trumpet to sound.
No.
Oh, they'll go to heaven.
Right.
Because if you're saved, you're going. Doesn't matter how you're living or whether you're ready or not. Ready or not, here I come.
I've got a booklet that in my bookstore on who goes in the rapture, because I've had a lot of people say, well, only the people looking for the coming of Jesus.
Well, that's about 3 people.
Or backslidden people don't go.
Yeah.
And it's because they don't understand eternal security.
Yeah.
I'm convinced that God expects for us to take care of our families, and we have to live in this life. But we ought to not only be taking care of our families financially and physically, whatever, but we also need to be thinking and planning and living for eternity in view, not just here and now.
Yeah. Let's start with something in Daniel chapter 12, verse 4. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words. See, Daniel didn't understand some of this stuff, but it wasn't for him. It was for a future generation. I think that was us.
I think so.
But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words, seal the book, even to the time of the end. Not after the end, the time of the end.
Right.
And then he gives 2 signs here that we use, letting us know that when that time is here, many are going to be running to and fro. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. There's two different things here. Now, that running to and fro is very interesting.
Yeah, that can mean a whole lot of things.
For about 5,800 years of history, men didn't go very far.
They went on foot.
You walked.
Yeah.
You rode a horse or a camel or a donkey or. I don't think Jesus went more than 100 miles in any direction.
Oh, no.
Yeah. In
So
fact,
his whole ministry was in less than that.
yeah, and Israel's, I think, north to south,
Yeah.
less than 100 miles or something like that. But they say that F-16, when it takes off in Israel and he gets up to full speed, he always has to back off because he's coming up to the end of their country, and he's got to turn around.
Oh, it's unreal.
Yeah, it's not a big place.
No.
But I don't think people today think about this. If you travel, I have a PowerPoint presentation on this. For 5,800 years of history, you had wagon trains. How
Right.
long did it take? You went, 10 miles a day in a wagon train if
Probably,
you were lucky?
if you were lucky.
Yeah. And you had a sore back when you got done. You people didn't go anywhere. For one thing, you had a farm, you had a garden, you had cattle,
Yes.
you had whatever, and you were busy. You couldn't just go see grandma for 2 weeks or
Nope.
for 3 days. You had to be on your farm.
Somebody got to milk that cow every day.
So men running to and fro, for most people, for thousands of years, that didn't make a lot of sense. We understand that.
Oh, we understand it today. It's unreal. I mean, you can fly around the world in almost no time. I
Yeah.
mean, can you imagine some of these new jets flying Mach 3? I mean, just unbelievably fast.
Yeah. But even that, on here, I can
Oh.
go anywhere in the
I can
world.
go anywhere in the world instantaneously.
Yeah. Now I can't get into the vault to see if the gold's there.
Oh,
Fort Knox. I can't get into that. But you know, so men show at the time of the end, men who be running to and fro. We're there. And by the way, 1850 is when the industrial revolution, the locomotive.
Yeah.
This is mind-boggling. For the first time in 5,800 years of human history, if you're not an evolutionist, 5,800 years, for the first time, a man could travel faster than a horse could take him
Oh, yes.
on a train. Not a lot faster.
Absolutely.
But, in fact, there were doctors who said that if you went that fast,
Whether it was faster or not,
It
it was longer in his distance.
the horse
yes.
has to rest.
Yes.
And
that iron horse just kept lugging along.
and that's just the beginning of
Yes.
transportation.
And now look what we're doing. I mean, we can send people up stay up in space and go up and get them and bring them back down. And
so the second part here, and I know you got some good stuff on this. I don't know if you'll remember it, but you've shared some interesting stuff. Knowledge shall be increased. You probably don't have all them statistics in your head.
you know,
You used to rattle off how
Right.
it multiplies every year. And,
yeah. Well, the thing is, there's two ideas that are around this. Some people take it, and I don't necessarily disagree with them. Knowledge concerning the end times for the believer. We have more knowledge and understanding. So some people take that verse meaning that knowledge shall increase in the fact that as we get closer to the end, we'll see it clearer,
Yeah.
and that's true.
Yeah.
But I believe it really is talking about the times.
I agree with you.
The times in which you're living. Knowledge is increasing rapidly because of artificial intelligence now. I don't know what it is, but last I saw, knowledge is doubling almost every 12 to 14 hours. It's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Have you ever wondered why the world today, particularly what we call Western world, have you ever wondered why we have so many psychiatrists and so many counseling beds and so much medicine for all of these things? Have you ever wondered why? Let me give you a reason why. It takes so long for our brains to acclimate to change. But change is happening so fast now that the human mind cannot acclimate to it. Therefore, we live in a world that is on its edge all the time. And because everybody now wants the newest gadget, the phone that I had last year, well, this one I had to get, but the phone before that I had for 9 years. And so everybody's got to have the newest computer. They got to have the fastest speed. We just got new internet service in this building, so we'd have the fastest speed available to us through fiber optics. Everybody. Why? Because everybody wants to be, as we talked about recently on a program, success breeds success. Everybody wants to be around that success. Everybody wants to know.
Yeah.
Knowledge is everywhere, and you could not keep up with it.
Yeah. I mean,
Not everybody's Elon Musk.
they say the amount of knowledge and what you can do just with your phone. Remember back in the 70s and 80s, they talked about this computer called the Beast. I think it was
Yes.
in Switzerland or somewhere in Europe. and it was a building and had these big
Yeah.
reel-to-reel
I think
computers.
it was a 4-story building, if
Yeah.
I remember right.
And that's nothing compared to what
No,
my
we have
phone
more of
can do.
that right here. You know, one of the things about the end times, one of the signs is humanity having omniscience available to them. Adam and Eve, because of Adam's sin, man lost a great deal. And then at the flood, we lost a lot of the ability for the human mind to do what it was originally designed to do. So everybody want to know the answer to any question they have now. And so we as believers know that through the Word of God, we now have a relationship with an infinite God who's immutable, He's omniscient, and therefore we have that in our relationship with God. But you know what's happened with this? We now have omniscience. We can get an answer to any question.
Yeah.
24/7. It's replaced.
Instantaneous.
It's replaced. That really, it hasn't replaced God in His relationship with the believer, but to the lost world, it's filling a void that to a believer, the only way that void can be filled is a relationship with God.
Yeah.
They now have that relationship through technology to knowledge.
Yeah. Well, that's two real quick, and another one that comes to mind is the world has to be able to destroy itself.
Oh, yes.
And I use the passage where it says, "Except the Lord shorten the days,
Yes.
there should no flesh be saved."
And that doesn't mean He's going to take any off the calendar.
No.
Shorten the days
Yeah.
means the length of the
Yeah.
day.
I personally think the Earth's going to speed up, but
It's very possible.
I don't know that, dogmatically, but that would answer, because Revelation 8 talks about 1/3 of the sun will be darkened, 1/3 of the stars will be darkened,
and the moon.
and the
Right.
moon. And what if you speed the Earth up 1/3?
That's right.
You'd
Would
lose
happen.
8 hours of sun every day, and stars and moon. And it's just a thought there, because we know the tribulation's a set
Well, we
amount
know
of
that the
days.
present world is larger than original creation because the waters that were in the canopy above, the firmament above, are now on the earth, and the earth is larger. That's why we don't have an actual 24-hour day or an
Oh,
actual
so in other words,
365.
it slowed the Earth, the spin of the Earth slowed a little
It's
bit.
changed.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And that'll all go back for the millennial reign, but
Yeah.
that'd be for another teaching time.
So the point of that is, and I give the illustration in my books about George Washington at Valley Forge or whatever. He's reading his Bible, and he reads that passage. And he looks at his flintlock, and he reads the passage. No flesh should be saved. And look, with the flintlock, you fire one of them in the smoke.
Yeah.
You don't even know if you hit anything till the smoke clears.
Yeah.
And how are you going to destroy the world with that? He couldn't comprehend
Well, we've
that.
got it today. Yep.
Yeah, and when I wrote that, started writing that way back 2008, somewhere in there, we're way beyond that now in military might and power. They just leaked a little bit. Donald Trump and them, he said, we've got weapons now that are just unbelievable.
Sure.
He said, we can handle the world. I don't know if he said too much or not, but I'm telling you,
I don't think he said too much. He didn't say anything
attention.
that the world powers didn't already know.
Yeah.
But yes, we are in an era of time. But Dan, I've read my Bible. I've just read my book, and the world is not going to destroy itself.
That's right. We've read the last pages.
God's going to reshape it, and then 1,000 years later, He's going to replace it.
But the world has to be capable.
Has to be capable.
And he said if he didn't intervene somehow, the world would destroy itself.
And where does that intervention? We don't know for sure, but I think it has to do with the red horse rider, probably.
Well, speaking of the horses in Revelation 6, that leads me to another one. For the end times to be near, it's got to be possible for one man to rule the world.
Yes.
Now, that was never possible until our generation.
Boy, it is today. I mean, you look around and you see one man, President Trump, can totally revolutionize and change the economic system of the world with a stroke of a pen.
And he is, yeah.
And he is. And with that, it is going to transform many of the other things, the politicians of the world, political system realize, what's it all do? It's for that white horse rider to come in and step on the stage and take his role of leadership.
And how do we know this? How do we see this? Obviously, satellites.
Yes.
You know, every eye shall see him.
Yes.
We can understand that a little bit now.
Absolutely.
Every ear can hear him. I
And
mean,
people say, well, the false prophet, he's gonna call fire down from heaven. Well, hey, the last so many thousand of the satellites that Elon Musk put up there are all retrofitted with laser beams. So we already have Star Wars that's taking place. That's not going to be anything. But I can tell you, my grandfather would have never had any concept of how that could happen other than supernatural. Yeah. Today, we realize it doesn't really necessarily take supernatural. You can just think you act like you're supernatural.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're going to fake the death of the Antichrist. He'll be brought back, and we know that that's faked. But
and they're going to be an image, and with the use of holograms or robotics in our world today, it won't be difficult to put an image of the Antichrist in the temple that's going to be rebuilt.
You ever watch stuff on here and you're wondering if
is it real or not,
or is that AI?
We've got my wife and I, we watch YouTube every night. That's all we watch is what we want to get actual news. And there's one on there, and every time it comes up, the caption says live. I just go right on past it because that's AI.
Yeah. So, so many things, so many signs. Just,
Yes.
And there's more.
The political nature of the world, the geopolitics.
Yeah.
The world is groaning and travailing. You hear about all the tornadoes, and then you hear about all of the hurricanes, and then all of the earthquakes. The world is getting. No matter what road you walk down, Dan, the signs are telling us we're not only in the season, but you better get your harvest crop in because we're there at the end.
Speaking of the end, we're at the end of our time.
Where'd it go?
I think we hit 4 or 5 signs of the times. I hope this has been interesting for you, enlightening. I hope it gets you off your couch and on your knees and into your book, the Bible.
Amen.
Make sure you're saved. Make sure your loved ones are saved.
Yes.
Make sure your family members, children, parents, sisters, brothers, make sure they know the Lord. Because when that trumpet sounds, it's too late.
Yes.
It's too late then. And if you got any question about salvation, if you're confused, give us a call, send us an email. We'd love to talk to you or send you some information. You don't have to die without Christ. And I hope you don't. Well, until next time, keep your eyes on them skies.